Hello to everyone. Let's talk about the Temple of the Winged Lion. From 1974 to 2005, over the course of 21 archaeological campaigns, Philip Hammond carried out excavations on the northern hill of Wadi Moussa in Petra. As the director of the American expedition to Petra, AEP, he unearthed the ruins of one of the major sanctuaries of the Nabataean world, the so-called Temple of the Winged Lions. Many Nabataean sanctuaries have been identified, and each new discovery makes a reconstruction of Nabataean religious architecture and rituals more conservable. The excavation of the Temple of the Winged Lions is remarkable in many ways. On the one hand, whereas other Nabataean temples arise as an independent freestanding structure within a precinct, the Temple of the Winged Lions is situated within the dense occupational setting. On the other hand, the abundance of the archaeological material uncovered is striking and make it possible for Hammond to reconstruct a history of the site and propose hypotheses regarding the functions of the surrounding buildings. Furthermore, it seems that the temple was destroyed in the 4th century AD, probably by the 363 earthquake, and only ephemeral activity was detected after this time, above the destruction level and rubble. Hence, the uncovered remains and items belong to the last use and occupation of the ancient sanctuary, and this makes the TWL arguably one of the most contextually rich sites for the study of ancient rituals, economy, and society in the Nabataean world. Hammond and his co-authors partially published the results of the excavations in 2 volumes and more than 30 articles. Since 2009, ACOR, based in Amman, Jordan, has taken on the comprehensive study and publication of the TWL complex, and through the TWLCRM Initiative, the documentation, conservation, and presentation of the site. The study and publication project is largely based on the Philip C. Hammond American Expedition to Petra archives, currently housed at ACOR in physical and digital form. In the first part of this talk, I will provide you with a short overview of my research conducted at ACOR between 2019 and 2020 as Temple of the Winged Lions Publication Fellow, and some thoughts about the main issues raised by the discovery of the complex. This will be followed by a brief summary by TWLCRM Initiative Director, Jack Green, about the work undertaken by ACOR on the TWL site and continued preparation of materials for publication. Description of the Temple of the Winged Lions complex have been made many times. Let's just break down Hammond's key findings. The main features are the temple building itself and the ancillary rooms, facilities, and buildings surrounding the temple. Some of the major findings upon which the archaeologist Philip Hammond based his interpretations and historical reconstructions on include a marble inscription that, according to Hammond, dates the construction of the sanctuary to the reign of Aretas IV, 9 BC to 40 AD, cultic imagery, including the famous A idol bearing an inscription mentioning the goddess of Ayan, that led Hammond to propose that the temple was dedicated to a female deity. And Hammond also relied on facilities and artifacts to identify residential areas, workshops, and a secondary shrine in the vicinity of the temple. In order to prepare the publication of this complex, we can rely on preliminary publication and unpublished data. A bibliographical survey of the Temple of the Winged Lions to date provides insight into the main findings and material uncovered, the outcomes reached by Hammond in terms of dating and interpretation of the remains, and the key research questions raised by his work. The bibliographical survey and the AEP documentation shows that most topics related to Nabataean sanctuaries and culture were already addressed by Hammond. However, he focused on some topics and neglected others. He was particularly interested in the description of the temple, chronology and stratigraphy, identification of the deity to whom the temple was dedicated, and the workshops surrounding the temple. The more neglected topics in terms of final publication include the archaeology of the building itself, reconstruction of the temple architecture and decoration, interpretation of the latest discoveries, and a comprehensive study of the artifacts. The available resources include in situ remains at the site, architectural elements and archaeological artifacts housed in Petra and Hammond, several thousand registered artifacts, architectural and decorative fragments, pottery, figurines, or statue fragments, coins, metal, bone, and stone items, shells, and so on, were uncovered by the AEP and saved from the AEP dumps by the TWLCRM Initiative between 2012 and 2018. The available resources at ACOR also include archival data produced during the excavation campaigns, which were provided by Lynn Hammond, Philip Hammond's widow. They include reports, field notebooks, photographs, item registers, stone-by-stone surveys, pottery drawings. There is also the documentation produced by the TWLCRM Initiative more recently. They are now largely digitized for future research. The exploration of the AEP archives and photographs aroused our curiosity for Philip Hammond and his aims. The AEP was a field school, and Philip Hammond created a strict organizational structure for the work and camp. He also designed a specific dress code that was inspired by his military experience. See here the uniform and the knife on the belt of the team members, and by his attachment to the Bedouins. See his traditional camel driver stick as a mark of his authority, and the kufiya accessorizing the team uniform. Let's return to the temple. Since the beginning of the 20th century, a number of areas of research have been raised regarding Nabataean sanctuaries. For the Temple of the Winged Lions, these topics must be now tackled anew, taking into account the complete archaeological documentation gathered and the results and hypotheses expressed during the study of other Nabataean sanctuaries. The following is an attempt to start reassessing the main research avenues addressed by Hammond and tackle topics which he did not raise. On the temple complex and chronology, Hammond often referred to the numerous stratigraphic units, more than 2,000, and cultural phases he identified. His knowledge of Nabataean ceramics allowed him to date these phases, and this dating has not been particularly contested. However, Hammond's proposal must be questioned and reassessed through a comprehensive study of the archaeological material and in the light of the recent works on Nabataean and Roman pottery. Furthermore, a comprehensive building archaeology study of the whole area is also required to clarify how it developed over the time. The sanctuary precinct has not been clearly identified everywhere. In 1978, the AEP carried out excavations on the north bank of the Wadi with the aim of highlighting the monumental entrance of the sanctuary. The observation of the visible surface remains conveys the idea that a series of stairs and terraces provide access to the temple. However, this research should be conducted more thoroughly in the future. Furthermore, the sacred area of Nabataean sanctuaries includes several types of facilities whose existence in the Temple of the Winged Lions complex have not been yet questioned. Firstly, remains of an outdoor altar. such as at the Kasrel Bint, could be thought, unless its remains disappeared through the reclamation of building materials from the site in the Byzantine era. Secondly, a theatron-shaped courtyard could be thought too. Such an arrangement was identified ahead of the temples of Sia and Darir. At the Temple of the Winged Lion site, the North Court, a courtyard with benches unearthed in 2001-2002, may have been such a theatron, even if instead of being in front of the temple, it is behind it. Finally, at Darir and Tanur, small rooms with benches were uncovered and identified as banqueting rooms. Further excavations carried out on the side of the hypothetical flights of stairs leading from the Wadi to the Temple of the Winged Lions may reveal such triclinia. Regarding the temple itself, Hammond did not show much interest in the presentation and reconstruction of his architecture and decoration. However, more recently, some scholars have made proposals for the reconstruction of the elevation and organization of the temple, following Hammond's most recent hypothesis. There is a general consensus that the whole building was roofed. There are numerous outstanding issues regarding the reconstruction of the temple. Some of the issues raised are the difference in height between the pronaos and the cella, the span to be covered inside the cella, and the presence or not of an indoor upper gallery. The AEP archives, the remains preserved on the site in the Lapidaria and Department of Antiquities collections, will offer remarkable documentation and research opportunities to help reconstruct the sanctuary virtually. Moreover, intricate decoration such as painted plaster and affixes, for instance, 24 well-preserved small stucco heads, and some slabs covered the interior of the temple. Nabataean architectural elaboration and decoration are currently receiving much attention. However, the quality and state of preservation of the Temple of the Winged Lions decoration is likely to remain the most remarkable example among Nabataean sanctuaries. The study of the decoration allowed Hammond to recall a topic which is still the subject of extensive discussions, that is regarding the cultural adoption and adaptation of elements of classical or Greco-Roman traditions by the Nabataeans for their own cultural purposes. An analysis of the overall decoration of the temple complex still needs to be done. To place this research on cultural aspects on a more solid foundation. The study of the TWL remains and material also provides an opportunity to address the issue of the worship practices. Local practices can be approached from the study of the architecture and layout of the buildings, recovered items and facilities. For some scholars, one of the major issues is to determine if a part of the Nabataean temples, preferably the cella, was unroofed, like an open air area for worship practices. This question has guided research on other temples, and even if such a solution seems hardly compatible with the fragility of the TWL decoration and the lack of evidence of a drainage system, it must be considered. Another main question is the role of the raised platform within the cella, presented by Hammond as a pedestal of for a cult image, or as a platform for conducting ritual ceremonies. Since then, much has been written about this installation, and the well-preserved facilities of the platform unearthed in the Temple of Darir in the 80s had helped further clarify its function. The reassessment of the TWL platform and the slabs and statues discovered all around it is likely to help us identify some of the ancient rituals practiced there. Also, issues regarding worship should include possible rituals that may have taken place on the temple's roof, as well as processions in the porticos or vestibules surrounding the cella. The facilities observed in the TWL are likely to have housed such rituals and must be analyzed thoroughly. The identification of the deities worshipped mobilized much of Hammond's attention. Relying on several lines of evidences, he attributed the TWL to a female deity, Atargatis, Alat, or Isis. He also relied on the temple decoration to support his assumption that the worship there related to a mystery cult. See the stucco panel here. For other Nabataean sanctuaries, the topic was addressed much more cautiously. This position invites us to move away from Hammond's assumption in order to address anew this topic at the light of the study of the overall archaeological findings, architectural decoration, and iconography. It should also follow recent recommendations that encourage the search for more than one deity. Such a recommendation is all the more relevant since many statues, statuettes, and beetles were uncovered in the temple area. The overall study of this material can contribute to a picture of the diversity of the deities worshipped and possibly may help elucidate the figure of a predominant or major deity. Other issues regard the possible link between the worship, layout, and orientation of the sanctuary, the role of pilgrimage and worshippers, and so on. Unfortunately, we do not have enough time to address all this point today. However, regarding the ancillary buildings, on the basis of the architectural features and preserved material, Hammond tried to identify the function of the rooms and buildings uncovered all around the temple. He identified several workshops serving the temple and housing for the cultic personnel. If his assumptions remain relevant, his work needs to be refined by a methodical description and identification of the rooms, courtyards, possible pathways and corridors, a thorough analysis of the chronology of their construction and study of related material. There is no time to address this point today. Now I will turn to Jack.
Thank you, Pauline. As mentioned already by Pauline, an important aim of ACOR's Temple of the Winged Lions Cultural Resource Management Initiative is to document, conserve, and present the Temple of the Winged Lions to visitors. This objective was achieved in 2018, enabling the site to be fully safe and accessible, with interpretive panels and pathways created to help add this site to the itinerary for visitors to the city of ancient Petra. The project's aim, since its inception in 2009, has been to engage members of the local community in conservation training and outreach programs, and this has led to a large-scale conservation effort at the site, as well as pilot projects for hands-on activities that engage school children and tourists. There were also some small-scale excavations conducted at the site in 2014 within the southwest quadrant, which have revealed how this area became a dump for reclamation materials after the earthquake of 363. In addition, geological surveys by Italian geologists at ISPRA have shed light on the vulnerability of the site to earthquakes and moisture seepage, which have in turn accounted for the poor condition of the remains of this site. The Temple of the Winged Lions publication project, Pauline, if you'd like to move to the next slide, thanks. Based at ACOR, intends to also fully present the AEP findings from the site, as well as the material documented by the TWLCRM Initiative. So at ACOR, over the past 2 years, efforts have been made to fully document all the material sifted from the dumps and spoil heaps at the site. Over 6,000 individual items or bags of items retrieved by local TWL team members working at the site or by school children carrying out sifting activities. While this material is not stratigraphically significant as a collection, it is meaningful as a contribution made by the local community, and it provides a sense of the range of material not kept by the AEP during their excavations, and it also adds to the range of diagnostic objects available for future study. The material includes significant amounts of marble floor slab fragments which could be used in future restoration efforts, for example. There are fragments of terracotta figurines, coins, and occasional inscriptions which may be added to the overall corpus in the future. ACOR is committed to completing the publication project in the next few years, and we look forward to sharing the results at ASOR in the future. And just to conclude with the next slide, the whole topic of Nabataean religious architecture and social life will benefit from further work carried out on the Temple of the Winged Lions. And the remains in the archive still have an awful lot to tell us, which will make a future study even more exciting. But we want to, of course, thank, Pauline, I think the slide, yeah, thank you. We just want to thank, as we conclude, the many people who have made this ongoing project possible, including those who have supported the AEP in the past, as well as work at the Temple of the Winged Lions by ACOR and its partners, including the Department of Antiquities and the Petra Park, the Petra Authority, and of course, former ACOR TWLCRM directors as well, the staff, team members. We want to thank, of course, major funders, including the US Ambassadors Fund for Cultural Preservation, and also the USAID SHEP projects, which have both contributed a lot of funding support for making the work at the site of the Temple of the Winged Lions possible in recent years. And finally, we're very thankful to the ACOR Publications Committee for the continued support of this project, of this publication project. So with that, we'd like to thank you and goodbye.